You know what they say about first impressions, and when the Ferrari California first debuted, it didn't necessarily make a good one among the enthusiast community. Intent on appealing to both newcomers to the brand, as well as purists who in all likelihood would never be in the market for this type of car, Ferrari hit the reset button on the California, and it worked. Now dubbed the California T for its forced inducted nature, there's a lot more to Ferrari's entry-level Grand Tourer than meets the eye. For instance, every inch of sheet metal, save for the roof panel, has been reshaped ever so slightly to improve aero efficiency and increase airflow through the engine bay. 15 seconds is about all it takes for the retractable hardtop to open or close, but you must be at a complete stop to do so on account of its lightweight architecture. Since this is a GT car after all, manners matter, and the California T is well behaved in an urban environment. Outward visibility is actually pretty good as far as convertibles go. The ride is firm, but it doesn't beat you up. And the cabin is actually really quiet. In fact, when the top is up, I'm constantly forgetting that this is a convertible. When the transmission's cold though, you can feel a slight judder as you accelerate from the stop, and when the brakes are cold, because they're carbon ceramics, they're really difficult to modulate. But once everything heats up, everything smooths out. And let's face it, when you first wake up, you're not at your best either. It might be called the California T, but this twin-turbo V8 develops its power more like a naturally aspirated V8. Put the 7-speed dual-clutch transmission into the automatic mode, and gear changes will go by without you ever noticing. Elect to shift it yourself in sport mode, and it clicks off gear changes before the paddle shifters even have the opportunity to return to their original position. And then there's the brakes. Lock them up, and you'll find yourself doing a push-up off the steering wheel. When you enter a corner with way too much speed in most cars, your face is typically plastered with that quasi-constipated cringe in anticipation of the rear wheels losing traction or the front wheels pushing straight through the corner. In this, the balance and predictability of the steering, chassis, and suspension makes recoveries incredibly simple, regardless of your skill level. In other words, it forgives bad drivers and rewards good ones. Like me. Rewarding every driver is the front mid-mounted twin-turbo 3.9-liter V8 that produces 553 horsepower at a sky-high 7,500 RPM. Retaining Ferrari's preferred 47 front, 53 rear weight distribution, the first turbocharged engine to come out of Maranello in more than 25 years, can catapult the California T from 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds with the added assistance of standard launch control. Peak torque stands at 557 pound-feet, but is capped at 445 pound-feet in the first 3 gears, so as to maintain the linear acceleration curve of a normally aspirated engine. And while the exhaust note is slightly more subdued than the fever-pitched wail of the outgoing model, this reduction in aural intensity fully befits the newly polished driving experience. With the top down, everything about the California T begins to make sense. The low, unobtrusive windshield header means there's no need to stare at the sky like a goon to stimulate the sensation of open-top driving. Wind turbulence is essentially a non-issue with all 4 windows in place, and the trunk offers just enough space for a small carry-on in both coupe and convertible form. It might fall under the 2+2 designation, but the California's rear seats are utterly useless for humans of any size. With no headrests and completely vertical seatbacks, they're not even shaped like real seats. Even electric chairs look like chairs. Then again, inanimate objects will find the rear quarters to be perfectly acceptable. The front quarters lay home to a simple yet elegant cockpit constructed with impeccable build quality and world-class materials. Atop the dash lies a turbo performance display that allows you to cycle through a range of boost-related data by tapping the aluminum ring around it. Handy storage nooks abound, the California's interior is actually quite accommodating. There's even a cup holder.
Oh.
But the most prominent feature, likely the most controversial, is the all-in-one steering wheel. Merging the turn signals and windshield wipers into a single location might seem off-putting at first, but the execution makes all the difference. After only one day of use, the steering wheel won us over with its simple, intuitive layout. Plus, it ties in nicely with the car's driver-focused motif. Of course, all this transcendent goodness comes at a price, and that price begins just north of $200,000. If that's a deal breaker, then perhaps you should consider the equally Italian Maserati Gran Turismo convertible, more feature-rich Mercedes AMG SL63, or all-wheel drive Audi R8 V10. If it's not, then you might want to take a closer look at the Ferrari's option sheet. In the name of weight savings and a bigger profit margin, the California's standard equipment roster is a bit stingy. So if you want to add in niceties like heated seats, driver's seat lumbar support, which we highly recommend, a 12-speaker JBL audio system, auto-dimming rear-view mirror, a 2-mode adaptive suspension system, and a fully integrated version of Apple CarPlay, yep, that's the price. Expect to pay somewhere between $220,000 and $250,000 for a well-equipped California T. Then again, go nuts with personalization options like color-matched brake calipers, carbon fiber accents, two-tone interior treatments, and leather or suede coverings for the seats, doors, dash, and headliner, and you could be writing a check for more than $300,000.
It isn't the flashiest exotic on the market, but that's kind of the point. The California T is, in essence, the car you buy for the car, not just for the badge.